Welcome to an explainer that takes a look into a place you already know so intimately, the dark, quiet room of your own mind. You're just sitting there. The world outside is totally still, but inside, a storm is brewing. Today, we're going to look very closely at the shadows your brain creates.
Section 1. The Midnight Spiral.
Let's look at a moment we've all experienced. It's 3 a.m. The glow of your phone is illuminating the dark room. You sent a text hours ago, but there's no reply. The house is completely silent. But almost instantly, your brain fills that silence with danger. The quiet doesn't feel peaceful anymore. It feels loaded with consequence.
So, why exactly does silence feel like a threat? Well, during the day, your rational thinking mind keeps things in check. It tells you, hey, a delayed text just means they're busy. But at 3 a.m., that rational mind powers completely down. And meanwhile, your deep, ancient fear center stays completely awake and totally unchecked.
And so the cascade begins. Your mind treats that unreturned text as a launch pad. First you think, I made a mistake. Then you decide, they're angry with me. Suddenly you believe you'll be fired, you'll be abandoned, you'll lose absolutely everything. It happens in mere seconds. One tiny little ambiguity spirals into an absolute catastrophe, and you haven't even taken a single breath.
Section 2. The broken smoke detector.
Why does your mind do this to you? The really unsettling truth is that your brain actually thinks it's protecting you. We call this the smoke detector principle. It's this ancient survival mechanism that assumes every single shadow in the dark is a predator. It heavily favors a false alarm over missing a real danger. Because, think about it, in the past, missing a threat meant death. Overreacting kept you alive. Your brain is essentially a hyper-vigilant protector, wired for a dangerous world that just doesn't exist anymore.
Just look at reality versus the mind. Reality simply says they haven't texted back, but the mind says they are leaving you forever. Your mind completely fuses with its fears. It stops seeing thoughts as just passing thoughts. Instead, it treats a neutral, harmless reality as a terrifying, undeniable truth. You don't just think the catastrophe is coming, you feel it deep in your bones.
Your brain is casting way too wide a net. Back in our ancient tribes, social anxiety was actually a vital tool. It kept you safe. It made you pick up on every tiny social cue so you wouldn't be rejected, cast out, and left to die in the wilderness. But now, that exact same mechanism isolates you. It makes you catastrophize every minor social interaction. It takes a brief, awkward pause in a conversation and turns it into a total rejection of who you are.
Section 3. The addiction to disaster.
Let's see how this builds into a really twisted psychological trap. Why do we actually like predicting the worst? It's because the human brain violently hates the unknown. To your mind, uncertainty feels like an active threat. Anticipating a disaster actually gives your brain this twisted sense of control. To your mind, it feels safer to vividly expect ruin than to just wait helplessly in the dark.
This is the mind's first draft. In the absence of actual data, your brain quickly writes a highly negative story just to fill in the gaps. And you know what the scariest part is? The brain actually rewards you with a hit of dopamine for doing this. It gives you a false sense of security just for solving the puzzle, even if the answer it comes up with causes you immense emotional pain. You're literally being rewarded for hurting yourself.
This addiction to disaster bleeds into specific vulnerability profiles. It targets exactly what you care about most. If you value your body, a minor physical sensation instantly becomes a terminal health panic. If you value your career, a small mistake turns into total performance failure. A delayed response, that's relationship rejection. A sudden, small expense, absolute financial ruin. It is precise. And honestly, it is exhausting.
Section 4. The exhaustion of prediction.
Living entirely in a terrifying, imagined future takes a crushing physical and mental toll. 359 million. That is the staggering number of people worldwide officially living with anxiety disorders. If you are exhausted by your own mind right now, you have to know this. You are not alone. Your quiet exhaustion is shared by hundreds of millions of people across the globe.
Imagine an overflowing bucket. This is what we call the stress accumulation effect. You carry this emotional load of hypervigilance all day long. Work, family, expectations, just pure survival. Your nervous system is under this constant invisible strain. It fills the bucket right to the brim. And then, one tiny, completely harmless drop falls in. A strange look from a coworker, a slightly delayed email, and the bucket overflows instantly into severe panic.
First, a threat is perceived. And it doesn't even matter if it's real or entirely imagined.
Second, your heart starts to race. Third, your breath shortens. Fourth, the world narrows. Your nervous system completely takes over. It cannot distinguish an imagined threat from a real one. It reacts exactly as if a physical predator has just stepped right into the room with you.
You're left with a nervous system that simply never powers down. Just consider the sheer, overwhelming exhaustion of a mind that is relentlessly, constantly preparing for a disaster. Every single muscle is tense. Every sense is heightened. You're preparing for a disaster that never actually comes. You are fighting a brutal daily war against ghosts.
Section 5. Expecting the worst. Let's slow down for a moment. I really want you to listen to this. You might sit in that dark room at 3 a.m. and feel like you are completely losing your mind. But you're not. Your relentless worst-case scenario thinking isn't a sign of madness. It's actually a brilliant, ancient survival mechanism that has simply taken you hostage. It is desperately trying to keep you alive in a world it just doesn't quite understand.
So when that midnight spiral hits, when the silence feels like a threat, I want you to remember this. Maybe your brain does not expect things to go wrong because it is broken.
Maybe it simply stopped expecting safety.